to Shirley Temple. The reason my parents came to the Golden State was very simple: the weather. My father, a master auto mechanic, had had his fill of sweating through the summers and freezing under cars all winter long. Until then, home for me had been a 2-bedroom apartment on Bleecker Street in Utica, a small city in northern New York State. My father's parents, Anthony and Concetta, short for Cungentina Funicello, were both born in Italy. She came to the United States at the age of 8. My grandfather had arrived many years earlier. They were married in 1915. They were proud of their Italian heritage, as I am today, but not everyone looked fondly upon the new immigrants. Perhaps for this reason, everyone in my father's family, except his parents, began pronouncing their last name not as Funicello, but as something that sounded like Funicello. In other words, they pronounced it the way that someone unfamiliar with the Italian surnames might. It would be many more years before I knew exactly how my name was supposed to be pronounced. I can thank Mr. Disney for that, but that's another story for later. My father was always very quiet and shy. Nonetheless, when he saw my mother, Virginia Albano, it was love at first sight. My mother's parents, Michael and Serafina, or Fanny Albano, had come to the United States from the same town in Italy, Caserta, near Naples, but didn't meet until years after they'd immigrated. My grandmother's first husband died very young and left her a widow alone in New York City with 3 small children. Yet my grandfather fell in love with her, married her, and moved them all up to Utica, where his parents, my great-grandparents, lived. Unfortunately, my mother's mother passed away at a fairly young age, so I never got to know her, but I was very close to her father. Grandpa Albano was a large, round man, and what I remember most about him is that he could pick up and play virtually any instrument. I know that my love of music and ability to play several instruments came from him. When I was born on October 22nd, 1942, I was the first grandchild on either side of the family. It's an Italian tradition to name the first baby after the father's same-sex parent. That meant my name should have been Cungentina. Today, my mother jokes that she knew that name would never fit across a Mickey Mouse Club sweatshirt without wrapping around the sides, so it had to be shorter. My grandfather's name was Anthony, so taking the Ann sound, my parents came up with Annette Joanne Funicello. My mother, who'd never owned a doll when she was young, nicknamed me Dolly, which is what my father calls me even today. For as long as I can remember, I felt wanted and loved. And no wonder, with 5 aunts, 5 uncles, my grandparents, and Mom and Dad to dote on me. How could I feel otherwise? I was the only girl among all my cousins, and so my early life was one of a typical spoiled brat. My mother wanted a beautiful, fat, bouncing boy. In fact, she wanted her sister-in-law's son, who was born around the same time I was. Instead, she got me. Skinny, whining, never eating, hardly sleeping, always crying. Of all my memories, perhaps the most vivid is of being at my grandparents' or in my own house and listening to records played on the Victrola or the radio. About the only time you heard any of us sing was on somebody's birthday.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.